King Sarkesian here, and today I have 25 tips for Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, before we get into it, this isn't ranked in any particular order, but I did break everything into 3 categories. Core and utility, stuff that makes your life easier, combat, the monster smashing stuff, and materials and gathering, because crafting is half the game. I also separated each tip into their own chapters, so if you're looking for something specific, you can skip to it. I put a lot of time into these videos, and since I'm not monetized yet, I'm not really getting anything for it, so likes and subs mean more than you think. Alright, there's a lot to cover, so let's get into it. Let's start out with our first category, core and utility. Number 1, mantles. Don't ignore them. So the game dumps a ton of stuff on you after the first few hunts, and mantles are one of the things you might not have even noticed. Mantles are these special cloaks that give buffs or effects. You can swap them out at your tent. They do things like reduce damage or make monsters ignore you. Seriously, go to your tent and check your gear, and equip the right mantle for the hunt you're doing. It makes a huge difference. Number 2, barbecue. Because you gotta eat. The game hands you a barbecue spit early on, and you're probably either ignored it or burned all your meat trying to use it. Here's the deal. The barbecue lets you cook raw meat into well-done steaks, which restores some health and stamina and increases your cap. It's a time-based minigame, and you gotta pull the meat off when the music stops or it burns, and then cut it to the beat. I'm terrible at it, but you might not be. Give it a try, and you'll get more meat for better cuts. It's not as crucial as in older games, but knowing how to use it can save you if you're low on stamina items in mid-hunt. Number 3, binoculars. They're more useful than you think. Binoculars seem like one of those things the game gives you just to fill up your inventory. I mean, you're out here hunting giant monsters, not sightseeing, right? But here's the deal, Monster Hunter Wilds has a size system for all its monsters, and if you're chasing gold or silver crown achievements, binoculars can actually save you a ton of time. Instead of running into a fight blindly, zoom in from a distance with your binoculars to check the monster's size, see if it looks way bigger or smaller than normal. Does it have a gold or silver crown? Congrats, you just found a rare one. If not, move on and save yourself the trouble. Number 4, loadouts, to save yourself some time. Inventory management is the last thing you want to deal with when you're gearing up for a big fight. That's where loadouts come in. Instead of manually restocking potions, traps, bombs, ammo, or whatever else you're going to need every single time, you can set up a loadout that instantly equips everything in one click. It stashes what you don't want and restocks what you do. I recommend setting up a few different loadouts for different situations, like one for trapping monsters, one for dealing with the heat, or one for just doing straight up damage, and maybe a support build if you play with friends. But honestly, I just use a one-size-fits-all loadout for every occasion. Once you get used to them, you'll never go back to digging through your item box like a caveman. Number 5, the Monster Field Guide. Know your enemy. The Monster Field Guide is basically your in-game Wikipedia for every creature you come across. And if you're skipping it, you're making your life harder than it needs to be. This thing tells you everything you need to know. Weaknesses, attack patterns, preferred habitats, and even some cool lore if you're into that. More importantly, it tells you straight up what weapons work best against each monster. If you go in swinging with the wrong element, you're just making the fight harder on yourself. Also, pay attention to how monsters behave when they're enraged. The guide explains how to spot warning signs, so you're not standing there confused when they suddenly start hitting like a truck. Long story short, check the guide, adjust your strategy, and dominate instead of dying for no reason. Number 6, map overview and hotkeys, the buttons you probably ignored. So you probably already use the map, but I'm willing to bet you haven't explored all its features, specifically the environment overview button. This thing does a ton of work for you. It gives you a quick rundown of all the monsters in the area, their ranks, and even the rewards you can expect from hunting them. No more wandering around hoping you run into the right target. Number 7, fast traveling. It's a little weird. Most games let you fast travel freely. Monster Hunter Wilds isn't much different. You can fast travel between your camps. Unlocking every possible camp early on is huge because the more options you have, the easier it is to reposition during a hunt. Also, don't forget some quests and zones limit fast travel completely, so don't assume you can always teleport out of a bad situation. Stay aware, plan ahead. Number 8, decorations and armor skills. Build smarter, not harder. Decorations are where your real power comes into play. Think of them as your build's finishing touches, the little details that make your hunter go from decent to unstoppable. Each decoration grants a specific skill, and most armor sets come with slots for them. Here's where things get interesting though. Armor A usually comes with more built-in skills, meaning you get power right away, and Armor B has fewer baked-in skills, but way more decoration slots, letting you customize it more. If you're new, Armor A is an easy choice, but if you like fine-tuning every detail of your build, Armor B is where it's at. Either way, pay attention to the decorations you have. They can make or break your build. Number 9, saving monsters as investigations. Better farming. Monster Hunter is a game about farming, and if you're not saving investigations, you're grinding way harder than you need to. When you're out on a hunt, sometimes you'll spot a monster with crazy good rewards. Instead of just killing it and moving on, you can save it for later as an investigation. This is huge for farming rare materials because it locks in the rewards, so you could fight the same monster again under the same conditions instead of just hoping for another spawn. Even better, if you take a field survey, it gives you an extra investigation slot, which is normally capped at 3, so if you see a monster with stuff you need, save it and keep farming efficiently. Number 10. Layered armor. Fashion Hunter is real. Look, stats are important, but sometimes you just want to look cool while destroying monsters, and that's where layered armor comes in. Once you hit high rank around chapter 3, you'll unlock the ability to layer armor, basically a transmog for Monster Hunter. This means you can rock the best looking armor while keeping the stats from your strongest gear. No more walking around in some ridiculous clown suit just because the numbers are good. If you care about fashion and function, layered armor is a game changer. Number 11. Hunter card. It's the ultimate flex. The Hunter card is basically your Monster Hunter resume, but let's be real, 99% of people will never look at it. So why does it matter? Well, if you're a completionist or just flexing your achievements, this is where you do it. It tracks your hunt count, weapon usage, and monster kills. You can customize your title and background, for the inevitable 0 people that want to check it. Remember all those titles that you randomly unlocked and ignored? Yeah, they're for this. If you care about tracking progress or want to flex your gold crown monsters, mess around with the Hunter card. Otherwise, it's just there to make you feel better about all the time you sunk into the game. Okay, that wraps up our core and utilities category. Now let's get into the good stuff. Combat. Number 12. Sneak attacks. Free damage, if you're patient. Most people see a monster and immediately start swinging, which, yeah, works, but if you take your time, you could land a sneak attack for massive damage before the fight even starts. Here's how it works. If you walk up behind a monster before it aggroes, you'll get a prompt for a sneak attack. This deals way more damage than your usual opener, unless you're running some sort of critical draw build or something. You can usually get 2 off a hunt, 1 before you start the fight in general, and 1 after the second time the monster runs. It's very rarely worked for me to get a sneak attack the first time it runs for some reason, but I almost always get it the second time. The game doesn't really explain sneak attacks, but it's a no-risk, high-damage opener, and you don't even have to crouch. Number 13. Power clashes. One of the coolest things you'll do in this game. Power clashes are one of those mechanics that just feel good, but they're really useful because they create strong openings too. If you block an attack with a weapon that can guard, you start building up an invisible meter. When that meter fills, you'll trigger a power clash, locking you and the monster into a head-to-head struggle. Keep in mind, perfect blocks fill the meter faster. If you win, the monster gets knocked back hard, giving you a huge opening. If you lose, the monster just kinda shoves you away. Each time you power clash, it does make it harder to trigger another one in the same fight because the meter gets bigger, so don't rely on it too much. But when it does happen, it's one of the most satisfying moments in the game. Number 14. Focus mode. My new favorite mechanic. You ever miss a big swing because a monster moves slightly to the left? Yeah, me too. And that's why focus mode is going to be your new best friend. Activating focus mode lets you reposition your swings mid-combo. It also lets you move forward in whatever direction you're facing more than the regular combos, letting you stick to your target easier. This is especially useful for weapons like Greatsword or Charge Blade, where big swings can be moved in order to hit. It takes a little getting used to, but once you do, you'll never go back. Number 15. Wounds. Make the monster suffer. Monster Hunter Wilds introduces wounds, and if you're not taking advantage of them, you're missing out on free damage. When a monster takes enough damage in one spot, that area becomes wounded. The wound spots take extra damage, meaning if you keep hitting the same place, you'll tear through the monster way faster. You can tell when a spot's wounded by the red glow that happens in the area that you just hit. Basically, if you see the red scout flies in an area that's wounded on the monster, that's your target. And that actually leads us into our next tip. Number 16. Focus attacks. Smash through the wounds. So now you know how wounds make monsters take more damage, but focus attacks are how you take full advantage of that. Some attacks are specifically designed to target wounded spots to deal massive extra damage. Think of it like hitting a cracked wall. The right attack will break through even faster. All weapons have a focus attack, but you need to be in focus mode in order to use it. Using a focus attack on a wound will immediately break the wound and give you whatever material you get from that monster. Keep in mind, you can still break a wound with normal attacks, which I actually recommend doing for a little while to maximize your damage output. Hit it a couple times, make sure you don't break it with normal attacks, and then finish with a focus strike. Number 17. Offsetting. The ultimate counter move. Offsetting is one of those mechanics that makes you feel like an absolute pro if you can pull it off right. Right before a monster hits you, you can offset its attack with a perfectly timed counter called an offset attack. If done right, the monster gets knocked back, stunned, or staggered. There's only a few weapons that can properly offset in the game, like the greatsword and the switch axe, and if you mistime it, you're getting bodied. So don't just stand there waiting for the perfect moment unless you're confident. When it's done right, it's one of the most satisfying things in the game though. Number 18, dodging and blocking. If you can block, block. If not, dodge. Dodging and blocking might seem basic, but Monster Hunter is built around your weapon's strengths. If you have a shield, use it. If you don't, dodging's your only option. Weapons that can block, like the greatsword, the lance, the charge blade, and the sword and shield, are designed to take hits, so stop trying to roll around like a dual blades user and start using your guard properly. Weapons that can't block, like the longsword, the bow, and dual blades, force you to dodge. And if you're dodging away from attacks, you're probably doing it wrong. Instead, you need to dodge towards the attack, but slightly to the side, that keeps you close for a counterattack. And if you're playing dual blades specifically, you actually want to dodge into monster attacks. It causes a buff that increases your damage for the duration you have it. Basically though, if you have a shield, use your shield. If you don't, learn your weapon's strengths around how to dodge and get back into the fight. Number 19, breakable and severable parts. Target the weak spots. Every monster in Monster Hunter Wilds has parts that can either be broken or severed, and if you're not aiming for them, you're missing out on extra materials. Breakable parts like head, wings, and legs take more damage over time and can weaken the monster's attack, or make it stagger more often. Severable parts like tails require a cutting weapon, so if you're rocking a longsword, greatsword, or dual blades, you can slice off tails for extra carves. Some rare materials only drop from severed or broken parts, so if you're farming for something specific, you need to be hitting the right spots. If you're not sure which parts can be broken or severed, you could check your monster field guide. It literally tells you exactly what's breakable and what requires a cutting weapon. Read it, adjust your attacks, farm like a pro. Alright, and that wraps up combat. Let's move on to our last category, materials and gathering. Number 20, capture net for fish. Not just for decoration. You might have completely ignored the capture net, thinking it was just for small creatures, but here's the thing, it's actually super useful for catching fish too. If you see a fish in shallow water, don't waste time fishing for them, just use the capture net, grab it and go. Some rare fish only appear in certain locations, and the capture net lets you get them faster than using the fishing rod. Fish are used for crafting, cooking, and even some special quests, so if you see one, take a second to scoop it up. It's one of those small mechanics that most players ignore, but once you start using it, you'll never fish the old way again. Keep in mind, there's some bigger fish that require you to use the fishing rod and catch them the old-fashioned way. Number 21, auto-gathering materials, letting the game work for you. Stopping to grab herbs or bugs mid-hunt kinda sucks. Luckily, Wilds gives you a better way to gather. First, you can gather straight from your mount. Just aim at plants or bugs, or slow down your mining nodes to scoop them up. No need to get off your mount. Second, if you're in focus mode, tapping the mount button again will snap you to nearby resources listed on your screen. Keep tapping to cycle, and then grab what you need on the fly. You have to be kinda fast so the materials don't go out of range, but it's still a great way to gather. Number 22, auto-gathering with Nata. Some nice passive farming. Despite how you feel about the kid, he's a one-stop shop for materials. Once you hit high rank and complete a few quests, you unlock a system that lets you assign gatherers to collect materials for you. You talk to Nata, and he serves as a hub so you don't have to run around the map and check in with everybody who's doing this. Each region unlocks a different gatherer after doing a specific side quest, and each one can farm specific things like bugs, ore, and plants. Assign the ones you care about, then check in every few hunts to pick up your loot. No grinding, no effort, just free stuff. It works off the in-game time, so don't think logging off for the night will stack your material farms. Resting at your tent works though if you want to burn the time and cough up the points. Nata also manages all the traders in the game. They're people you do quests for, like the gatherers, except they trade items with you. Some are worth it, some aren't, but they all reset after some time, so remember to check in with them from time to time. Number 23, food for gathering. Eat smart, gather more. Alright, so you already know that food boosts your combat stats, your stamina, and your health, but did you know it could also help with gathering? Certain meals will actually give buffs that boost the amount of materials that you get. If you're going to go on a big gathering run, eat a meal with the right perks before heading out. Some ingredients give gathering bonuses by default, so experiment and see which meals work best with you. Most people just focus on eating before fights, but if you plan your meals around gathering, you'll end up with way more materials and less time too. Number 24, event quests for materials. Limited time loot drops. So this one's kind of an all-arounder, because event quests vary depending on what's out at the time. They reset weekly, but basically it's a set quest that'll give you a certain amount of drops for doing that quest. The rewards can kind of vary between materials, new equipment drops, and even ingredients for food. And some event quests drop specific armor pieces that you can't get anywhere else, so it's best to do them while you can. The quests are time limited, so if you miss them, you'll have to wait until they rotate back, or something better comes up. Just know if you're skipping event quests, you're likely missing out on some of the best loot you can find in the game. Alright, and for our final tip, number 25, gathering events. Bulking up on resources. Similar to event quests, except way more common, are gathering events, and they're designed to help you stockpile materials quickly. You'll know these are happening when you get an upsurge of a certain material, and all that means is that you could farm that material in bulk quantities for the time that it's available. These event boosts spawn rates for specific resources make it easier to farm things like rare ores, plants, or monster materials. If you see a gathering event active, take advantage of it. You never know when the extra stack of resources will come in handy. If you're serious about crafting and upgrades, try not to ignore them. They could save you hours of grinding later. Also, here's a couple bonus tips I thought I'd throw in there as honorable mentions. If you want to make your own armor spheres, go to the Azu's Forge after Chapter 3, do whatever side quest you need to, and then talk to this guy. He should be able to trade monster materials for armor spheres. You could also make the upgrade materials used for Ardian weapons here and collect your festival shares, but you could already do that with Nata like I showed earlier. Want to make your own decorations? Head over to Suja Peaks and talk to the Melding Pot Lady. Here you can make random or individual decorations. It should help fill the gaps in your build. You could also make the parts for Ardian weapons here. Alright, and those were my 25 tips for Monster Hunter Wilds. If I missed anything you think is important, let me know in the comments. And if you want me to do a deep dive on something I didn't talk about in this video, let me know that too. Thanks nerds. Follow for more.